A&R plan for 2 Old Harvard Road. Do we have someone representing that tonight?
Yes, good evening. My name is Kevin Conover. I'm from David Ross Associates, and I represent Gail Zaka for preparation and presentation of a 3-lot A&R and creating a parcel of a backland piece. As the plan dictates, each lot, 1, 2, and 3 has in excess of the required minimum frontage, in excess of the required minimum area. They conform with the lot width requirement. Lot number 3 is shown on the, actually lot number 2 is shown on the plan, contains an existing house, and the new lot lines conform with the setback requirements in that district. It's located in a residential district, which you need 80,000 square feet, 200 feet of frontage along a street, 150-foot lot width measured 100 feet back from the street line, and we're looking for an A&R endorsement of this plan as presented.
Okay, so you are also, so you're turning 1 lot into 3 lots and a parcel. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the parcel, I don't know if you can, Pam, you can show that up above. So that's up behind it, and that's a non-buildable lot that you're creating out of that?
That is correct, and we're labeling as such in the notation section of the plan, and also in designating the area of that. So it is not a buildable lot because it doesn't have the required frontage for that district.
Okay. Do you have plans for that lot, or is that?
It is my understanding that that lot may be donated to the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission as an abutter on the northerly side of that parcel. It's my understanding that they've been in talks with the commission to donate that to the town.
Okay. Yeah, so it looks like you're taking, where is the frontage on lot 2 right now? That's Old Harvard Road, or is that Green Road?
That is Old Harvard Road.
Okay. And so the frontage for lot 1 will be on Green Road.
Correct.
And the frontage for lot 3 is also on Old Harvard Road.
That is correct.
Okay. Seems fairly straightforward to me. Anyone on the board or Pam have comments? I'll take that as a no. I don't think we have any neighbors here. But no, so I don't see any issue with this. So with that, I will make a motion to approve the A&R plan for 2 Old Harvard Road.
Second.
I can.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
James Barr,
Aye.
Robert Romer,
Aye.
Austin Groner,
Aye.
Eric Nyland.
Aye.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and you have a great evening. Okay.
You too. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Next agenda item is the review of special permit conditions for 357 Main Street with Andrew Spengler. And who do we have representing this tonight?
Good evening, board members. This is Seth Donahoe with Dillis and Roy on behalf of Andrew Everley.
Hey, Seth.
Good evening. So I would be happy to give you a quick overview of why we're here and what we're requesting from the board.
That'd be great.
Great. So we have been before you a few times over the years related to the development of 357 Main Street. Mr. Everley's company, Environmental Pools, is going to use that as their home base, and the board previously approved the special permit associated with that. This was the old Skinner property, was essentially vacant and not used for many, many years, and we are revitalizing the existing building. And during the initial talks with the planning board, Mr. Everley had indicated that he would like to be able to rent out some of the space to some future potential tenants. And thank you, Pam. I see that that plan is up for us now. So this building is approximately 21,000 square feet. During the initial review process, we had provided parking sufficient for the entirety of the building. So the whole 21,000 square feet that you're looking on that floor plan. Now, as things are finalizing, Mr. Everlay has two potential tenants, tenant space 1 and tenant space 2, both of which are very light, low intense use. Tenant space 1 is a blinds and window treatment showroom, and tenant space 2 is a house staging company. Notably, the house staging company will likely not have employees there on a daily basis. They'll be back and forth from time to time to get their materials from that location. So the request before you is to allow these two tenants to enter into a lease with Mr. Everlay to essentially utilize those spaces. The total parking, we've provided a letter to the board. The total parking that's needed is 44 spaces for the entirety of the uses at the site, and the approved plan has 48 spaces on it. So we're under what is there. And the second part of our request is actually the next plan down. I can see it peeking up on the bottom of the screen. As you drive by this site, there is an existing sign at the entrance. And what has been presented by the architect is the finalization of that sign, which is going to go exactly where the existing sign is today. So those are our two requests for the board. If you have any specific questions related to this, I'd be happy to address them.
Okay, thank you. So first, as it relates to the sign, Pam, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's select board who handles signage.
Yes, it's a permit through the select board.
Yeah, so you want to make that request to them.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So as you know, as far as the other two tenants go, I mean, I certainly some of us on the current board worked on the special permit. I don't specifically remember talking about having additional tenants in there, although I don't particularly have an issue with it. But the special permit wasn't written in that manner. So I don't know if that's an issue with what you're asking us for. So you're specifically asking to allow you to lease out space to two tenants, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's this, and this would be considered, Pam, a minor modification to the special permit?
Yeah, the board could consider that. The special permit, excuse me, my screen's going. The special permit was required because the environmental pool is classified as a other retail, wholesale, or service within a building. And those uses require the special permit. So the proposed two tenants that are going to occupy the building also are classified as that use. So if the planning board doesn't deem the proposal an amendment to the existing special permit, we can rule that it's an unsubstantial change and it meets the criteria of the decision issued.
Okay. And if they wanted to change tenants at some point in the future, are we allowing modification for these specific tenants, or is this to allow any tenants under the
I think it would be related to any tenant that falls under the other retail, wholesale, or service within the building category. And we consulted with the building inspector for that determination because he is the official interpreter of the bylaw.
Okay. And our other process would be to amend the special permit to specifically call these out, which involves a hearing and noticing and all that.
Yes.
So, I mean, as far as the use cases of the two tenants that you have, I certainly don't have any issue with those. I mean, they're, you know, insubstantial amounts of traffic, as you said, probably no customers for the staging company, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, extremely minimal. We calculated it out in the letter and was designated 4 spaces for that, but that would be complete overkill.
Yeah, no,
it's not a use where there's going to be customers coming there on a regular basis by any means. I imagine, and Mr. Everlay can chime in if he knows more of the basis of their business, but maybe on occasion somebody would stop by to see an item that they have available, but it's not like a revolving door of people during business hours to see these things.
So is this a company where they bring in furniture to an empty house to stage it for
Correct.
a photo shoot kind of thing? Yeah. Okay. And are you going to designate these spots as belonging to specific ones? Meaning, are you going to put signage up for those, or just that you have?
Yeah, the proposed sign that we have down on the road has room for tenant 1 and tenant 2 to be on that sign.
Oh, sorry, I meant the parking signs up at the building itself.
No, we don't. We weren't going to plan on designating a specific area in that parking lot for those tenants.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone on the board have questions or concerns?
I definitely think it's a minor modification. On 626 Main Street, there were multiple potential uses, so we did put that in the special permit. I mean, because there was like restaurants and retail. So I think so they didn't have to keep coming back to us. We put like all the potential uses in special permit, but yeah, I mean, this definitely seems like a minor modification. No need to go through opening hearing and stuff.
Okay, anyone else on the board have comments, questions?
The second company was a blinds and shades company, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and is there kind of any estimate on the traffic flow for that business as well?
Andy, do you have a grip on that?
No, it's primarily just a showroom for general contractors. I'm not sure. I can find out. I don't know the exact flow. Not many. They have another company in Franklin, Massachusetts right now. I can talk to them about that.
I don't think it's critical. It's just, it's not retail. It's not a retail business, I guess. You
Correct.
could say, correct? Okay.
In regards to the modification, so we're going to be moving into that building within probably a month. What is the process after this meeting in terms of being able to sign an agreeable lease with them that I feel comfortable with? That way that we know that they're all set to move in there.
We approve this tonight. That's it, right? You know, because
Okay.
if there's no hearing required, this is.
Okay.
But Pam, can you verify that?
Yeah, if there's no hearing, if the board votes it's a minor change and falls under the existing permit, we'll just issue you a letter reflecting the vote. But then if it's voted it's a significant change and has to go to public hearing, we'd need to schedule that for at least 3 weeks out.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I make a motion to approve the addition of 2 lease tenants to 357 Main Street as a minor modification to the existing special permit.
Second,
Michael Gore,
Aye.
James Barr,
Aye.
Robert Romer,
Aye.
Austin Groner,
aye.
Eric Nyland.
Aye.
Andy, I'll get you a letter by the end of the week.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank
So,
you.
and again, just schedule a meeting with the select board to, if you want to add their names to the signs.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, have a good night, guys.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, next item is land use planning grant. So Bob, we had some back and forth about the scope of work for Randall. Do you want to kind of fill in the board on some of that?
Yes, he came back after our last meeting and said that, as he had implied during the meeting, that he would like to go ahead and write the regulation under the subdivision control regs. And he offered up that it would, he'd like $3,000 to do that. Pam and I looked at it. Pam basically felt that we could go ahead and do that ourselves. And then subsequently, he came back and said, well, he had another proposal that he would not go ahead and do that, but he would write commentary and review, among other things, our village overlay. And has not specified, to the best of my knowledge, an amount for that, Pam, has he?
No, not that I've seen.
I think
And-
that would be, you know, a good idea, but I sure would like to know what he's proposing for compensation.
Yeah, and so within the existing grant that he's being paid for before this, what else is he gonna deliver to us for that?
He's gonna do a seminar, a public seminar on the whole approach.
He's
And
supposed to
that's-
make
that-
recommendations for specific changes
Right.
to both the bylaw and the subdivision control regs, not necessarily write the specific language that we may want to amend our bylaw with, but
Yeah,
definitely
Bob,
supposed to suggest amendments.
yeah, I think when when I talked about actionable items last time, we don't necessarily need him to write the specific wording of the bylaw. We can certainly do that. But if he had like a list of things that he recommended that we do, that would obviously be good. And so
Okay.
basically he's asking at this point for some additional unknown money to review the cottage overlay bylaw. Am I understanding
Yes.
that properly?
Pam, can you bring up his email, the last one?
I didn't save it.
Hold on.
I can't log in while I'm,
That's something we need to fix.
yeah. Oh, wait,
Hold on
maybe I
just a minute.
can.
Let me
Hold
see if
on
I
one
can
sec.
find it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good if like he would give us like a marked up version of our regulations, and then we can go through the changes and determine if we want to keep them or not keep them. That's how I would envision it. So,
Specific to the cottage bylaw, are you talking about, Eric?
just no, everything and anything he's giving us for
Yeah.
the regular.
So we feel that that's within his existing scope of work, right? So that's a deliverable that he owes to us
Right.
in addition to the public meeting.
Okay.
I
Yeah, but
found
no
it, Bob.
comment. I'm sorry, you found it?
Yeah,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
was able to get. Can you read that? I can't see what you see.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Do you want me to read it?
yeah.
Over the weekend, I gave some more thought to revising. Our heads are in the way. Hold on a second. Over the weekend, I gave some more thought to revising the scope to address the provision of potential bylaw wording, something that was absent from the original work proposal. I recall one board member mentioning that he was hoping to see some actionable items in the final product, and correcting that omission in the original scope of work would address that need. Looking over the October scope yesterday, I see that it described a regulatory review consisting of a technical memorandum identifying shortcomings and providing recommendations to correct them. This is the work product that I emailed to the town last fall and is what we discussed last week. Although the scope did not mention supplying new bylaw language, I can now see how some board members might have read that meaning into it. Because I'd like to avoid disappointing anyone, my thoughts this morning are that I'm willing, with the original budget, to supply specific potential bylaw wording relating to the analysis and recommendations in my review memo. That folks at your then folks at your end could insert into the town regulations, perhaps messaging the wording a bit here and there for the best fit as desired. If that works for you all, the only remaining piece would be for me to address the new aspect brought up by a board member last Wednesday pertaining to the cottage option. Because I do not recall that subject having been discussed with me before then, it would constitute a smallish additional work item. In order to put a cost estimate on it, I'd need a copy of the proposed wording that voters rejected.
So what he needs, and we now have, I guess, the original language that was put or proposed for the ATM to get to him. He needs to take a look at it, and he needs to get back to us with the smallest additional cost. Does that sound right?
Yep.
And so, I mean, we also, you know, we kind of brought up the cottage overlay just sort of because it was in the vein of all this that, you know, kind of our goals are to get, and it aligned with him also, like more, you know, dense, smaller housing, like
Yep.
more variety of housing. And so we obviously aren't going to try to do this for this town meeting, right? So the board will need to decide if we want to bring the cottage overlay to town meeting at some point in the future, if it's something we want to try to do again. So, I mean,
Go ahead, I'm
Go.
sorry.
no, I was gonna say, so I certainly think it's fine to send that doc over to him to, and he can give us an estimate on what he wants. And then the board can decide if that's something we want to spend money on now, knowing that it probably wouldn't be until at least next year that we brought that forward, if at all.
I do think we should bring something like this to increase the density of housing thoughtfully, you know, within a year or so, you know, like 2025 ATM.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean,
So my only perspective at this point was, I think Eric summarized nicely why it didn't pass the last time, because we probably didn't do what was necessary to make people understand better what the implications were, and frankly, sell it. But it would also be nice to have an independent set of eyes take a look at it and see if there are any thoughts about changes that may or may not be made based on other experience.
Would Randall also help us be able to, you know, market this a little bit better? I know there was some discussion during the last meeting about that. Is that in scope for the grant?
No, it's not, but my feeling is that that can be done informally.
okay, so it sounds like we don't have to decide anything tonight. The next step would be to get a copy of the cottage overlay, and Pam found the final version. So that's great. So we can get that over to him, and he can give us an estimate on it.
Pam, can you send that?
Yeah, I put it in the Google Drive, but I'll send it out. I also put all the public outreach materials in the Google Drive related to the
That would be
cottage
great.
overlay district. That's all in the Google Drive as well.
And as a matter of fact, to Austin's comment, it might be worthwhile if it'll fit into an email or in some other way, get that kind of information to him as well.
The outreach, sure.
Yep.
Sure.
And you know,
If
as
you
we
could
were
get me
looking
out
through
of the
the stuff,
business of being the middleman, I'd like that.
you know, we realized that. I mean, you know, I think Eric sold it a little bit short in our last meeting, in that we did put together a fair amount of presentations and public outreach materials to people. And I think that's why it was a surprise to us at town meeting.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Did we have like forums and stuff? We definitely had material, I guess.
No.
Well, we
remember.
definitely we had forum, I mean, we had at least 1 or 2 meetings with builders specifically, getting their
Yeah,
input on
Yep, for
what,
sure, yeah,
what would incline them. And we obviously had a public meeting to discuss the article,
yep.
right?
Which-
And so I
which
assume
nobody
that's where we
attends.
showed some of that stuff then. And then in town meeting itself, we probably showed some slides. I mean, I'm looking through what Pam put in the.
Oh, yeah,
Google-
we definitely had a slide deck at
Yeah.
town meeting. But I don't know like if we had any like public forums. We probably didn't have like any social media type presence, you know. We probably didn't do as much beforehand work as we should have.
Yeah,
Were there also case studies included? Because that was actually very helpful for me during Randall's presentation.
Yeah, I think there was
Yeah.
one from Concord referenced in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
slide
it was.
deck.
Yeah,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, at one point, that was being considered where the town common now is. That was one of the proposals.
Oh,
yep.
Hmm.
I
And
also
Mass
wonder if-
Development was very enthusiastic about that.
I also wonder if the cottage overlay can somehow just get folded into the subdivision bylaws, just adding density bonuses, you know, instead of having a whole separate, but then you don't have then it can go anywhere.
yeah,
Or
then it's
like-
not an overlay.
Yeah, right.
Well, that may be, that may fit very well into an open space and residential housing approach, which is not necessarily going to be.
Like, I don't know if you can put the conditional of, if you have over 10 acres, you have the option of density bonuses or something like that. You know, you don't want to squeeze it onto a small
No,
postage stamp lot, but if it's like 10, 15 acres, you know, then you have the option of, you know, these density bonuses. If you want to preserve 67% as open space, you can, you know, you can have 2x or 4x or whatever number we come up with, you know.
yeah, but I think it's only practical on a reasonably sized lot.
Right. So I don't know if we could build that, you know, at this size lot and above, you have these density bonuses at hand instead of having just a completely separate bylaw, which I just don't know if it would be easier to get it through town, just kind of folding it in.
Well, if we did it through subdivision rules and regs, that we
you
can't.
can't.
No.
No, it'd have to be the bylaws, like the subdivision bylaw, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't regulate the development through the subdivision control regs. That's for infrastructure development,
Gotcha.
there
access
are
to the
bu-
ways.
Right, but it'd be phosphorus basically, right? I mean, that's a bylaw.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Tie it into that, take phosphor, perhaps take a bigger piece for open space, but allow more dense housing in the remainder.
But I think we do need the piece that it has to be so big of a parcel because
Yeah,
people would worry
right.
about,
Yep.
people would worry about like a 4 or 5 acre parcel just get, I don't know, pounded.
Eric, that's what we call a backland lot.
Yeah, right. That's what we call Meadow Road.
Yeah.
Oh, I was having such a nice night.
Okay, so Pam will send the cottage bylaw over to Randall, and we can figure out if we want to pay some additional money to have him punch that up for us, or give suggestions for folding it into other bylaws.
Yep.
Okay, next item is discussion of annual goals. So I'm hoping to keep this meeting a little bit on the short side tonight, but if people have specific things that they wanted to talk about things that we're looking to do this year, we can do that. I mean, I know Pam put in kind of this list that we've been just carrying forward for the past few years. You know, my priority as chair of the board is always kind of like more affordable housing. That's sort of my number one my number one thing. So anything we can do to help that, you know, including something like the cottage overlay or something to get better variety of housing stock in town would be great. If other people have priorities they kind of want to talk about tonight, we can do that. I just don't want to go through every item on this list tonight.
Well, I think that's a noble approach. I think we really do have to focus very much on a combination of more affordable housing while maintaining a reasonable perspective on open space. So that will probably require a town meeting. And why don't we set a specific date that 2025 town meeting, probably not a special town meeting in 24. We're gonna have something on the table and we're gonna have a lot of outreach in order to get there. So that's one that would have to go to town meeting. There are some others that we can handle through regulation. And I think we ought to think about that. One, Pam, that you had mentioned, I believe when we were in a master plan meeting, was you were concerned that we really didn't have a good process, and I'm not sure what that falls into, for 61A right of first refusal. That's one I think we ought to look into as well.
It's good timing too, because the open space and rec plan committees getting back together this month, so I'm sure they have some input on that as well.
Because I think we do have a lot of opportunity there,
Mm.
and I think we're at this point positioning to understand better. First of all, we know what's in 61A. We need to encourage people to put things in 61A, but at the other end of the process, we really need to understand what the town's priorities are and how we need to address accepting or pursuing a right of first refusal on priority parcels. So yeah, that would really be nice.
And so Pam, what's required for that?
Sometimes just do a policy that the select board or board of selectmen adopt. It's just, so when someone wants to sell their property and it's classified under chapter 61A, we get, I'll just, for those that don't know what it is, they'll submit a letter of intent to sell to the town, and the town has to react fairly quickly on whether they want to meet that purchase price and preserve the land for whatever reason, or release it for sale, and which usually results in development. So some towns develop a process, they rank the open space parcels, and they send the request for first right of refusal to various committees like agricultural, Concom, Parks and Rec, planning, for review to get opinions on whether they feel the property is valuable enough to sell. I mean, for the town to purchase, and have some sort of funding mechanism in place to act kind of fairly quickly.
And so something happened similar with that on Forbush Mill last year, the year before, Bob, with that parcel. Was that 61A? Was that the town having first, or at least the town purchasing that land?
The Taggart property?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that was 61A. I think that was just a deal that Mrs. Taggart, her family had always wanted the town to own that. And it was an ongoing multi-year negotiation. And behind it, which is very important actually, Rebecca and the commission spent a lot of time getting funding to make it happen. So that's another piece of the puzzle, that it's not a matter of the town pulling it out of its coffers and buying land. It's a matter of understanding the priorities and pursuing other funding to do so, not out of our coffers.
Okay. Any other annual goals that people want to talk about?
I just have a kind of a meta comment here. Is the list ranked or categorized in any way? Do we have them top to bottom priority? Do we have them categorized for affordable housing or other things? It would be really maybe useful if we could just organize it, in terms of, the different categories, and then also which ones we think are most pressing for us to handle first.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. So you have to evaluate each parcel, the natural resources on each parcel, access to roadways and things. So, not saying it's not doable, but it's not something that gets done usually quickly.
I think I'm
Austin,
asking a
you're
different
just asking-
question.
Yeah, Austin, you're just asking about the goals that we
goals.
have there.
Yeah.
Are they in any sort of
Oh,
order?
oh,
The
oh.
answer is no to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant ranking the properties themselves.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
No,
I
but
don't.
that is something from an open space and agricultural perspective, open space, recreation and ag, that the open space plan has done for many years. They have their priorities laid out, so at least some of that homework has been done and will be done this time.
But to go back to Austin's original question, the list of annual goals that we have in there there's no ranking to that, and it's just kind of a laundry list of stuff that we've accumulated over the years and said this would be nice to take on at some point.
Got
But,
it.
you
Okay.
know, for a lot of these things, including something like the cottage overlay, I think we've said, okay, we'll wait for master plan to finish. I mean, one of the things I was hoping to come out of master plan is a survey that says, 80% of the residents want, smaller, denser housing or that sort of thing. I mean, and then when we have data like that from master plan, it makes it easier to sell that sort of stuff at ATM.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just kind of our best guess about what's most important.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should prepare for that because what's come out of the surveys and the forums definitely indicate that.
That
So-
people want smaller housing.
Yeah,
or-
they want
yeah.
smaller affordable housing, but they want to preserve as much open space and agricultural land as possible. So in a way, we have our charter already.
Do we do we have any large scale developments coming up at any point within the next couple of years? Like a Moderator Way or Tadmore or anything else like that anyone knows of?
I mean, the apartment is obviously the biggest one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
but I'm looking at the list here with like earth removal, tree protection bylaw, ones like those, and I'm just wondering if we have any major big developments coming in. Something that we can kind of like to Bob's point where we can kind of get these small ones out of the way first, while focusing on the affordable housing, because I think that's huge as well. So I don't, just wondering if there was
I
any.
don't know of any developments that are
Okay,
in the plans, and I don't think anyone's come to us or Pam.
No, I haven't heard of anything.
okay.
I think, to Austin's point, in terms of prioritizing, maybe one thing, and Pam's done a lot of it already, identify what needs to go to a town meeting as a bylaw. And, things like the sign permits, what do we need to do that? That's probably going to be a bylaw change because it is a sign bylaw, but the responsibility needs to change. It's probably 2 words. But go through this and determine which ones are going to require a significant effort, hearings and an ATM or a STM meeting, and those which are things that can be handled by procedures, regulations, and discussions of process with the town. So the highest priority is, the cottage overlay, Phosphord, and the relationship between the two. Let's make that a goal and figure out what needs to go into that. And then the others kind of are things that we can do on our way there. You know, there are things like driveway and driveway permits. We need to look at that pretty carefully. But that's not a big deal. It is a big deal in terms of its impact, we've noticed. But if we put a process around permits and provide some criteria for their review, I don't think that's going to require anything, Pam, does it? Does that require
It-
hearings? It doesn't, does it?
If it does it require, it may, depending on the changes, I mean, we have specific criteria in our bylaw, so if we change anything in the bylaw,
Well, I mean, one
It may.
thing that occurs to me is, and again, it's a matter of interpretation at the moment, and that's the whole drainage issue. There's a big difference between PE coming in with a plot plan with topos and drainage and saying, verily, this isn't going to drain onto the road, as opposed to us taking a look at it and saying, whoa, just a minute. Who are you kidding? And that's what happened on Meadow Road. I mean, if we had somebody look at those permits, those applications, and there was lots of information with them, all the topos and all the rest of them were with them, we probably would have raised some serious questions and maybe gotten some people to talk to each other about a different way of doing their driveway. But we just kind of, dare I say, rubber stamped it, you know, access to the road, grade at the road, and a promise that you're not going to fill the road with water and silt. And that just doesn't work. So maybe looking at things like that, and maybe will require a change in the bylaw, but let's get to the point where we could recommend it.
That's also something that could be, if we move forward with the stormwater bylaw,
Yeah,
something that could be addressed through that process as well.
where is the stormwater bylaw?
We don't have one.
Yeah, no, it's not in the list, though.
I don't think it's on that
No.
list. Yeah, we could.
No,
we
we've
can
just
add
been
that.
talking about it recently.
So I think we
We
ought to
could-
add that to the list. And maybe move it, and then try to differentiate between big ticket items that are going to take a lot of effort and a lot of outreach, and smaller things that are just going to be better for the town that don't require quite so much.
All right, why don't I take it? It's just gonna take some time and I haven't
No, we
had
don't
any
need to do it now.
recently. But why don't I go through it and kind of categorize this a little better into minor changes, major changes,
Yeah, that'd be great.
town meeting stuff, regulation stuff,
Yep.
and we'll go from there.
And
No.
one last question, Bob, did you say that we had the results already from the survey from the master plan, or is it
Yeah,
still
sure.
ongoing?
Yep, we do. And we have, and what
They
what's
should be
kind of
on the
interesting
website.
is there isn't much difference between the first survey, the second survey, the first forum, and the second forum. And dare I say, there isn't an awful lot of difference between the survey that we did, a very, very extensive survey in 2001, and what we're seeing in the current response in the last two surveys. So yeah, I think we have a bit of a charter here. Although it's ancient history, it is worth taking a look at the very first survey that was done, townwide survey in 2001. And ironically, well, it was responded to for all the wrong reasons. It was included to save money for the town in the envelope that contained the census information. So everybody in the town thought that they had to fill it out. And consequently, the response was nobody had ever seen response like that to a survey. But it was very good. It really did provide a lot of input. And again, not an awful lot has changed.
So Pam will do a little bit of categorization of those things. Next item is review of the annual report. And so this is just for people's benefit, is just a report that goes into the warrant for annual town meeting, and it's just kind of a overview of what the board has done for the past year. I looked through it and it looked fine to me. Pam, do you want us to vote on this? Or just?
Yeah, I think it'd be good. The town administrator's office has requested the relevant boards and committees vote to approve the report. I can bring it up on shared screen if you need.
Sure.
This is a Massachusetts general law requirement that all appointed boards and committees by the town provide an annual report for the residents of the town, reviewing and summarizing what they've done throughout the year. So this is a standard format that's been used in previous years. I just filled in the updated information on what occurred during 2023.
The bit that you had highlighted down below about Houghton Farm was there something?
Yeah,
About that?
I had to look into the status of that project. I
Okay.
wasn't certain what it was.
Moderator Way was.
Oh, that's Moderator Way. Okay.
Actually, no. Keys Farm is.
Keys Farm,
Houghton Farm is the one
over
at the end
on
of Sugar Road. Is that?
Yes.
Sugar Road, yeah.
Yeah. That one
Sugar
I
and
think
Golden
is.
Run.
Yeah. Is that one complete? Did we? Oh.
That's what I wasn't sure. I have to look into the records a little more.
So, and there's also Goose Pond Path, that subdivision. So Pam, we should have them come in at some point just to give us a status, because I'm sure all of their permits have expired at this point.
They've put final pavement on in November, I think.
Yep.
So I was thinking they'd come to annual town meeting this year.
For road acceptance.
Yes.
And yeah, usually I think they would come to us in the fall at some point to tell us that they were doing that. But so we'll have to, if that, again, all the more reason to get them in here, because we'll need DPW to inspect that if they're going for road acceptance.
Boy, that's gonna have to be quick.
Well, I mean, it's a very small area. I mean,
Yeah.
most of those houses are served off of a common driveway, which obviously we wouldn't accept. It's really just kind of that main little strip. So I don't even know if they're gonna have that accepted.
Is there any documentation, Pam, that suggests that they want to have that accepted by the town?
No.
That's
I haven't
curious.
I haven't really gone through the file that
Oh, okay.
well. Yeah. So.
So I forget what that one, what the name of that one was before it was Goose Pond Path. I'll see if I
Wilder?
can. No, I don't think that was it.
Is it Tad? Is that Tadmore?
Tadmore.
Tadmore.
Yeah,
That's Tadmore.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was originally Tadmore Farm.
And we did practically nothing with they've actually been a good developer. You know, they came to us for their permits and everything was approved and reviewed, and they just kind of went off and did their work and built the subdivision. And we haven't had any complaints from them, and we haven't really heard anything from them, period.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Niche did the inspections.
Yep,
It looks
yep.
like, yep.
that was right as you were coming in, I think, Pam. Cause I coordinated that with Mitch. Did they ever give us the review for that?
Yes, for the
Report?
top coat, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I mean, you can reach out to them and just see if what they're expecting, if they're gonna accept that road. Like I said, it would just be that one spot where Goose Pond Path is and not the common driveway off to the left. And I'd say you could add them in there, but again, we did hardly anything with them this year just because they haven't come to us for anything.
I'll
What?
add it though, because it's still, we did inspections and things this year, so.
Yeah. In Houghton Farm, I don't know, does anyone remember if we accepted that road?
Not sure if we did. I think it was something small. It had to do with
Yeah.
so with property markers and stuff like that.
The boundary markers, maybe.
Yeah.
Eric, do you remember what that was?
I'm sure it's in the minutes.
Yeah, somebody's from a while ago.
Yeah, I'll take a look. I just haven't gone through the files yet.
Yeah, it was small. It wasn't major.
Okay. Well, so Pam, do you want us to do anything with this tonight, or wait for a final version and vote on it?
When's our next meeting?
Second week of February.
So the 14th, I think, is that right?
Yeah, that looks right. So 14th and the 28th for February.
If you could conditionally approve it with the correction of Houghton Farm and the addition of Goose Pond Path, that'd probably be the easiest thing, so I can get it into the administrator's office.
I'll make a motion to approve the planning board annual report on the condition with updates to the Houghton Farm and Tadmore subdivisions.
Second,
Michael Gore,
Aye.
James Barr,
Aye.
Robert Romer,
aye,
Austin Groner,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
Aye.
and Michael Lau.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Next item. So Pam, you included minutes for the July 26th meeting.
Yeah,
that
it was
was
a
the only-
short meeting. It was only 10 minutes long, I think, so.
Super short. Yeah. Our shortest meeting ever. It's great. So other than some misspellings of Eric's name, which I'm in favor of, it looked fine to me.
Okay, I'll go in and change that, fix that.
With that, I will make a motion to approve the planning board minutes from July 26th, 2023, with minor corrections to spelling.
second,
I wrote down who was absent. I'm trying. Okay. Michael, you weren't there, so you can't vote on that set. I have you down as absent, is that correct?
Mike Lau, I think that was right.
No, Mike,
That was
that was you. That's the one that I believe I chaired. No, wait a minute. No, you were there for
no.
that.
This was the special one.
Yeah. you're
It
right.
was just a quick vote for the Martha subdivision,
Yeah,
Gosford.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Michael Gore,
Aye.
James Barr.
Aye.
Robert Romer,
Aye.
Austin Groner,
Aye.
Eric Nyland.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes pass unanimously.
Any other business that people want to discuss tonight? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, everyone. Have a great
Great.
night. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
We'll talk
Thanks.
later.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
Too.